Yeah, eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with John, Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Eat, Sleep, Fantasy Football Podcast. Welcome, everybody. I know it's been a little while. We went on a little hiatus, to be honest with you, but that's okay because we're back. And not only am I back, my name is Dale, by the way. We have a special guest, and we have an awesome show today. I'll explain in a second, but I want to welcome KJ Bannock. Did I say that right?
You did. That KJ Bannock. My name has been butchered my whole life. So.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, they just throw R's in there. I don't know. I'm always Branch for some reason. I don't even.
You know, I was gonna say Branch.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a really weird spelling last name. I'll just keep calling you KJ, and I'll never say your last name.
Yeah, very
again,
Polish. I mean, my first name's Kazimish, so KJ just is easy.
KJ is way easier.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anyways, guys, we are, it's off season. We could talk a little Dynasty. We could talk, I know a lot of other podcasts do year-end reviews and how do we do. All I'm going to say about ESF is we hit on a lot of stuff and we miss on a lot of stuff. Our goal, and we said it from the very beginning, we've always been transparent about this. We hope to be right more than we're wrong. And I hope we did that. I'm pretty sure, in my leagues personally, I did really well. So if you followed my advice throughout the season, you probably did really well as well. Same thing goes with Christian and Armando. So, I hope you did well. And I hope you got a lot out of the podcast at least. I think we were recording till week 10 or something, 10, 11, 12, 13 maybe. I don't know. I lost track. But I hope you were successful in the regular season of NFL fantasy football. Today, and for pretty much the remaining of the offseason, at least until XFL wraps up, KJ and I, and maybe, we're going to throw in some guests, the ESF family will maybe jump on here and there, but for the rest of this offseason, we're going to be talking XFL, and I'm really excited to bring KJ along because he knows his shit when it comes to XFL. He started talking to me online about it, and I was like, okay, let's just do it because he knows his stuff. And to be honest, we're all looking away to gamble and to waste our money. And what better way than to do it with something that nobody knows anything about? And maybe we can give you a little edge with this podcast, and that's our goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. XFL, Dale's giving me way too much credit here. I don't know that much. I've just done, I just clicked a button and I got XFL.com. So, and that's where it's coming from. So I don't know too much, but I am super excited because, football's ending. We have divisional round coming up, Super Bowl coming up, and it's always that sad time. Obviously, we have some other sports that are fun. It's just not football, and football is has been my sport since I was young, and a lot of us have played it and always grown up watching it. It's maybe not be America's pastime, but it's America's sport, so it's a lot of fun. And the XFL is bringing some cool things, and I'm excited because I don't know if this thing takes off, and even if it doesn't, but there's some good things. There are things in the original XFL in 2001 that the NFL still uses. So this can only make the NFL's a better product. That's it. That's all it can do is make it a better product. So that's cool.
Yep. So the goal of this episode, and we're going to kind of break it down. I know, we'll talk about when the season starts and who's involved, but we're going to kind of break it down in little sections. And today's section is basically going to be a quick overview of what the XFL was, what it is now, and basically what it's going to be, if that makes sense to you guys. So, we're going to go through some of the rules. The rules are the best part. I know you probably, if you guys have been paying attention to sports radio, you heard some of the wacky rules. They kind of sound wacky, but really some of the stuff just seems like logical, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But, okay, so XFL, KJ. I know everybody has this idea that XFL, WWE, had a baby. And we're playing football. That's not really what happened, is it?
No, I mean, so it's kind of odd. Like the XFL, the problem with the XFL in the beginning is that the XFL in 2001 when it started was so close to the WWE. Or like I grew up with the WWF, but the WWE and the XFL, they were together, and it was the same company. That's why you couldn't bet on XFL. That's why there was like nothing going with it, because people were worried that it was scripted. And WWE is scripted, so they're like, well,
Wait, what?
right? I know. I just learned this the other day. Santa Claus is also not real. Sorry if you're listening to this with kids, but it's the same thing as WWE. And so you couldn't bet on the game, and that takes a lot of people away from it. It's that simple. Like we were talking about earlier, about like baseball and stuff. I mean, you might not be a fan, but when you start betting on it, you become more involved. And that's the same thing with football. So originally, when they co-owned it with Vince McMahon and the NBC, they put up a bunch of money and went full board into it. Unfortunately, they didn't have the backing they didn't have much support. That's all changed. So, so originally, like Vince McMahon, they put up $100 million for it. And before the end of the year, they made it the whole year. It wasn't like AAF, but they still lost a boatload of money. And the difference is, I mean, now McMahon has said he's already put up $100 million again, but he's took enough stock out and sold enough of his own stock that he has $500 million that he's putting into this. If he has to, he's going to let it run its course. But it's not like the AAF where there's no money, there's nothing there. He has backup and backup. So it's very different, and it's a legit league. After going through everything, it's pretty legit. It's pretty cool.
Not only did he put up a ton of money, but something that people might not know is that Vince McMahon, and when we talk about him, if you guys don't know, he is the owner of the WWE. He also owns DraftKings. He has a big stake in DraftKings, which, that comes full circle to, hey, he has this partnership that can really work really well with the XFL, and they're going to make it work because DraftKings just announced that, actually they just announced on the 13th of January that there will be DFS for XFL on DraftKings.
Yeah.
So we can all make some money. And if KJ and myself and the other guys are going to be joining us, if we keep doing the research for you and keep figuring this out, I hope we can all make money off this. So that's the goal of the podcast, really, is to not only, if there's fantasy football leagues out there, I know there's a couple of sites that are starting to dive into XFL a little bit with their traditional fantasy football, but DFS, I think there's a lot of money to be made there with a lot of people that don't know a lot about the players or the scheme or the rules and how to use that to their advantage. So we're going to uncover that for you guys.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And so I'm already in one fantasy league because my friends were like, "Oh, let's try an XFL thing." And once I got into the rules and really thought about it, it's not completely different, but with DFS, I don't understand. I'm more intrigued on how they're scoring certain things with DFS. So I'm really intrigued by that because there are some rules that we're going to get into that are just out of the box. I mean, it really is out of the box. So
right. I mean, for instance, spoiler, quarterbacks might, you think, hey, quarterback, has maybe a similar value. They definitely don't in the XFL for some reasons. So we're going to get into that. Just a little teaser there. Okay, so XFL, they got a couple cities involved, pretty much the big market cities, and we're going to go through those teams in a minute. How many teams are there? There's 8 teams.
Yeah,
right?
So there's 8 teams. There's 4 in each conference, and with these teams, so they're in larger cities, like you said, and that is another big difference. Before, the XFL did not want to compete with the NFL. They did not want to compete with these cities that already have established fan bases. They want to go to places where there were smaller, Birmingham. There was Memphis. There were these cities that did not have a team, and they wanted to build that, and it just failed. Like they couldn't bring it up. So now instead, they decided to go to some of the largest cities they can go to because, I mean, it's statistics. If you have 5 million in this city, there's a better chance of more people watching it than a city that's 500,000. You have that better chance, and that's the one thing they tried doing this time. So yeah, there's 8 teams, 4 in each conference, and they're in major cities all over the U.S.
Yeah, that's awesome. So initially they kind of had maybe the thought that like minor league teams do, let's go into these small towns and build an audience, and you're just throwing money away. So that's good that we have Dallas and Houston and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want one in Denver, man. I was so mad it's not here. I would have been a season ticket holder, honestly, because the weather's just getting nicer, right? It's spring, so it's only going to continue getting nicer once January, February. It kind of sucks, but January's over. It's not starting until February, and the weather only gets nicer. So yeah, to watch football and it leading up to the draft and leading up to free agency, that's a lot of fun, and I'm excited for that.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So I guess let's just get right into the rules. We could, kind of go over some. There's a lot of rules. Obviously, this is a sport, so the rule book is probably 500 pages long because it covers everything. But we are going to cover the stuff that I feel like you guys should know, and the biggest differences between the NFL and XFL with these rule changes. So basically, we're calling rule changes, but obviously it's not a change because XFL is its own thing. So let's just KJ. Let's just talk about the beginning of the game, the kickoff.
Yeah, let's start.
What's so different? Let's start. What's so different with the kickoffs in the XFL?
Everything, like every single thing is different. It's weird because the NFL has always tried to establish this way of let's not, with CTE and concussions, let's not have the wedge anymore. Let's not have people running at each other. But yet, the only way they somehow, with all the billions of dollars, could figure something out is by moving the kickoff up, the spot of the ball, so 90% of the kicks are out of the back of the end zone and not returned. So it sort of stops that. Well, the XFL came up with a crazy way, and this is going to be big for defense when it comes to DFS and fantasy because of the scoring. Now, what they do is they actually spot the kickoff at the 25-yard line of their own. Like, the NFL's 35, so they're bringing it back to the 25-yard line so there's more room to kick the ball. And the kicking team actually lines up, other than the kicker, it lines up on the receiving team's 35-yard line. They're 10 yards across from each other. Like, it is just, it's like,
what the hell?
I feel like it's like that old school drill in Pop Warner when you're laying on your back and you have the ball and the other guy's laying on their back and you're helmet to helmet and you blow the whistle, you get up as fast as you can and hit each other.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. So they're 10 yards away from each other, so there's no running start and they're spread out. Now, the kicker has to be accurate, and that is a big thing. So kickers are practicing all day long on accuracy and hang time because what they have to do is they have to kick the ball, and it has to be within the 20-yard line and the goal line it has to land. And when the ball lands and the receiver catches it, then the play begins. So neither team can move until the receiver catches the ball.
It's like a foul shot in basketball.
Yeah, it's weird. And the kicker has to place it perfectly because there's 2 different types of touchbacks. You have a touchback where if it bounces in, then you get the ball at the, you get the ball at the 15-yard line if it bounces in, which is like what you want to do. If you could bounce it in, then they get the touchback at their own 15. It really forces them to try running out. Now, if the ball lands in the end zone, they get it at the 35.
That's crazy,
right?
Man.
So they're trying to make you play the game.
Yeah.
Without just giving up, like, why even have a kickoff when you can't return it? So they're trying to make you, and yet at the same time not trying to have these huge just guys coming into each other at full speed,
with
23 miles an hour, running as fast as you can. Now, what I see that's crazy about this is when you are lined up, like, just think about it, like physics, right? If you're lined up and you have your whole team spread along the line, you have one guy catching a ball at one point, and say he's catching the ball only 15 yards beyond you. I don't know how you stop that. That's the thing that's crazy because you're one-on-one in blocking, so you have to beat a blocker, or you have to have like your wingmen sort of come back in a way. Like they have to create an opposite V. So the big thing with the XFL is scoring, right? Scoring sells tickets, and this is just another way to start the offense in a better position. I mean, look at this. The average field position is going to be like the 40-yard line or 45 to start the game.
Yeah.
I don't see how it's not. But.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, think about it. I mean, especially if you get a speedy returner, right? I mean, by the time you kick the ball and then the guys start running after you, I mean, you're going to get at least 15-yard head start, right?
Oh yeah, you're gone. I mean, have a guy like a running back with vision. If you break that one tackle, like have the best yards after catch or a running back who breaks that one tackle, return a ball. You break that one tackle, there's a chance of you being gone every single time. It's like that one-on-one, and the only one stopping, it's like you and a kicker. Like the kicker, you better show up to tackle. You better come to play because you're going to have to tackle.
Now, because the receiver, not really technically, but the receiver is actually matched up with the kicker pretty much, right? So the kicker is going to be free. The kicker is going to be the free guy. So that he's actually going to be like the X factor in a lot of this stuff. Right? Like he's going to be roaming.
And the thing is with the kicker too, though, is the kicker's the only one that could run. So if the kicker get a guy. Okay, Chad Johnson, I don't know if you guys heard this, but Chad Johnson just tried out for kicking. Let me tell you, that kicker can run. He's the only one that can run forward. Chad Johnson, kick it as high as you can and run and try to outrun the kick.
Dude, that's nuts, man. It's fun. I mean, talking about that is like, man, I can't wait to watch the first game. And by the way, I did hear, they do have like a rules committee, and they talk to a lot of, previous football players, past and present football players on this, and a lot of old officials and current officials. I mean, they really consulted. It's not just stuff that they threw on paper. This is stuff that they really think is going to work. So I trust it.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It sounds crazy. All right, so we have the kickers taken care of. What about the punters? Any big rule changes? I know there's no more gunners, right?
Yeah, there's no more gunners. It's punting is it's kind of boring. Again, it's weird because there's no gunners and they don't want the guy to get crushed, just like the kicker or the kickoffs. But no one, not just the gunners, but no one could advance until the ball is actually kicked. So there's no more like hike and everyone goes down there just swarming. They really want to make this game exciting. That's why I'm saying Dynasty or in fantasy, the defense might put up some points. Now I don't know about you guys, but I don't play defense. I don't play with a kicker. Like the only leagues I'm in, I don't have a defense or a kicker. So this is exciting for me because I'm like, wow, I get a defense again. This is different. But yeah, and the other thing is too, there's no more corner punts. The corner punts are penalized, and the ball goes to the 35-yard line. I don't know how that even works. Like I guess if you punt it out of bounds within the net in the 10 yards, it doesn't say. But I'm guessing coffin corner is like within the 5 yards or whatever. Yeah. So if it goes out in that area, then it advances to the 35 yards, the 35-yard line. And that's the same thing with the kickoff, to where if the kickoff goes out of bounds or the punt, they get it at the 35-yard line.
35-yard line. That's crazy.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. The kickoff is the 45-yard line.
Wow. Yeah, so the kickoff's at 45?
45, yeah, if you go out of bounds. Or if the kickoff falls short of the 20-yard line, say you kick it and you want all this hang time, and it falls on the 22, they get it at the 45-yard line.
So you're going to see kicks hitting the Jumbotron. Well, no, not really, because if you're kicking off at the 45, it's not going to have a chance. But, I mean, there's going to be hang time, I guess that's – well, okay, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here.
Yeah, me too.
Hang
this
time
is
really
kind of
matters.
Confusing, right?
Hang time really matters with the kickers because they can actually start running. So if you can get the kicker to kick it as high as you can, and they start running, they can. If he's fast enough, they have the chance to even get to the receiver quicker than the ball can, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yeah. But now the one thing that I couldn't find anywhere, and it's probably somewhere I probably have to do a little better, a little more research, a little better here. But when it comes to the kickoff, I didn't know. It says they cannot move. Now, I don't know the difference if they can't move at all or if they can't move forward. It just says cannot move. So I don't even know how the ruling would be on the field if a flag got thrown. I don't know if it'd be like if it's offsides, a legal formation or movement. So that's kind of confusing because it doesn't really say that anywhere online. But so I guess that's something we're just going to have to figure out when the game starts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of little things like that we're going to figure out as we watch, because it's impossible to get every single crumb of information here.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. That those were probably the most. I mean, those are fun, but those were the most boring. There might be one other boring rule change. The rest, just sit back and get ready. Like the rest are crazy. They're fun. They're different, and they try to fix something that we've been having in the NFL for a while. And the next one is, the next rule is something that we've been discussing. ESPN discusses it. Like at all these places, like you go online, you listen to other podcasts, you listen to anything, and this is the discussion. This is the radio discussion of what happens at the end of the game. And the next rule is about the overtime.
yeah, dude, the overtime, it's exactly, I think, what we all want overtime to be. I don't watch soccer, and the only time I get really excited about soccer is, I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you. Are they penalty kicks?
Yeah, PKs, yep.
Or extra, yeah. So, when the whole team lines up and the guy gets to kick and the other guy gets to kick, that's like the most fun part of soccer that I love.
If you don't play it, yes.
Yeah. Oh, who cares? I don't play it. The game sucks and it's really boring. But this is awesome. The overtime rules for the XFL is very similar, and this actually, going into overtime might be like the most fun you've ever watched football, I think. You agree?
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
I'm stoked for this because okay, quick question, not XFL, but are you a pro college overtime or a pro NFL overtime guy?
I think both need to be, adjusted a little bit. I don't mind as much the NFL now with the rule change that they have now, right? Mm-hmm. When was it, a year or two ago that they changed it?
Yep.
But I hate ties.
Yeah, same. So the NFL also, I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. You were thinking about ties. I was looking at stuff. So the crazy thing about that is everyone's about, like, if you catch the ball and you score a touchdown, the other team doesn't get it. And people hate that aspect. So a lot of people lean college, right? But one statistic that I saw, I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that the coin toss flip, whoever wins it in college has a higher percentage of winning than they do in the NFL.
Right.
So everyone's like, oh, the NFL, you get the ball, you score a touchdown, you might not give the ball up and you might lose the game because you never had the chance, but yet you still have a better percentage-wise chance than you do in college. And there's so many people that love college more because they're like, oh, both teams get a chance. I don't know. I go by stats and statistics, and it's proven that the NFL, you have a better chance, honestly, if you don't get the coin toss.
Right.
But this is completely different. This is the crazy thing about the XFL.
Yeah, what is it? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so completely different. Like you said, it's like a shootout, like a hockey shootout, or like or PKs in a way. So what happens is, if it's tied, it is a 5-round shootout, and you're on the 2-yard line every time. It's just like 2-point conversions. Now, the XFL is all about going quick. It's all about, let's keep it moving. Let's get the game going. Let's keep it fast. So it's not going to be a long, drawn-out overtime. You're going to have an offense and a defense on one side of the field and the opposite offense and defense on the other side of the field at the exact same time. Now, they're not going to play at the same time.
Sure.
But they're going to be ready to line up. So once one side goes and misses or gets it, the other side goes immediately. And it goes back and forth. Now, I don't know how many refs are on the field. I feel like there has to be a couple extra refs to be on both sides.
Right.
But yeah, so it's crazy. And they swap after each one, and it's just 2-point conversions back and forth for 5 rounds. And if you have 3-0, obviously you win. It's the best out of 5. And it just keeps going. And the defense cannot advance the ball. It's just a stop. And that's how they're doing overtime. So I think for daily fantasy and for fantasy in general, this is huge, because the big worry that a lot of people had is in fantasy, you're going to have these crazy numbers if college overtime goes to the NFL. Like, it's not even going to be right. Someone could score like 10 touchdowns. All these records are going to be broken. It's going to be kind of ridiculous. This doesn't change much. It actually might win you a game. It might lose you a game, but it's only going to be a couple points. And it's pretty exciting. It's cool. Yeah. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this could be a huge thing. Like, if your game goes in overtime, your quarterback has a chance to throw 5. I guess, I mean, if they're only 2-point conversions, however they scored, I guess we got to see how it. Yeah. So if they are only scoring 2 points for these throws, I guess that
it might
that
only be 1 point because,
right, sure.
And we'll see that on the next one because 1 point because it depends on where they are, and they're lined up on the 2-yard line every time. So I believe it's only 1 point each.
Right. All right. That is crazy. So the next rule I want to talk about instantly reminded me of, and I can't think of the name, but and KJ, you're my age, so you'll know. MTV, I think it's like a Rock and Jocks.
My favorite, dude. I still talk about that.
It's amazing, right? So
I wish they brought it back. I'm not a big basketball person, but that was so much fun to watch the basketball where they could shoot from. Right, you're talking about the ones where they have people that could shoot from. There's like a 10-point shot,
like an 8-point line. Yeah, exactly.
Those are so much fun.
So I immediately thought of that when I read this rule about the extra points because it's very similar. And I think somebody in the XFL is like our age and said, you know what? It would be awesome to have an option to have extra point worth 1, 2, or 3 points depending on where we kick the extra point.
Yeah, there's no kicking, period. There is no more kicking. So the kickers that are on these, there's a team, I don't even know which team, they don't even have a kicker yet. They still have no kicker because the kicker, like field goals, but they don't kick extra points. They don't have to crush
right.
Yeah, they don't have to do this stuff anymore. So this is all, it's like, you have the option once you score to play from the 2, the 5, or the 10-yard line, and the points are worth 1, 2, or 3, just like you said. And I didn't think about the Rock and Jocks or something like that. I didn't.
I'm gonna look it up. Keep going.
I now that you said that, like I got goosebumps about it because I remember as a kid that. I used to have a basketball hoop in my driveway, and we would chalk out the lines, and we literally would do that. We'd be like, this line is a 3-point, and then we'd have like random circles. We're like, that's a 6-point play. I don't even know how we kept the math because it was just nuts. But yeah, that's exactly how this is. You get the option to play on how you want. Now, different here than overtime. Defense can return the extra point. So if you're from the 10-yard line and you throw, I don't know, a quick out, or it gets batted and someone picks it off, they could run it back and they get the same amount of points as you were going for. So if you're going for 3 and they return it, they get 3.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so if you're going for 2, and this is what's crazy is the NFL has literally been changed by like a blocked extra point that got ran back for 2 points. I remember I want to say San Fran did it to Seattle, or Seattle did it to San Fran a while ago because I remember I was in the championship game, and it still bothers me that this is one of the last years I ever had a league where they had defense because of this reason. I got so pissed because it was the championship game, and it was like a Monday night game. It was Seattle-San Fran when Seattle went to the Super Bowl, I believe. And, they blocked the extra point and ran it back to win the game, which also beat me. And I never wanted defense in fantasy again because of that reason.
Yeah. I don't blame you. So this is it's pretty interesting too, and you have to think about, okay, so and correct me if I'm wrong, KJ, because I'm not a football nerd like this, but
like me,
I would think
you're going to say, okay, I got you. All right.
I would think, throwing the ball from the 2-yard line has a much bigger chance of being a pick six than it would from the 10-yard line. Am I wrong in thinking that? Just because you have the offensive line is backed up to recover to make a tackle.
Maybe we could get like Marshawn on the pod or something, or like Russell on the pod, and they could tell us. But you know what? They always say. So I always grew up playing safety, and our favorite thing was. Well, not our favorite thing. We don't want them near the end zone. But as you get near the end zone, it's harder. We all know this. It's harder. It's more compressed or compressed and compacted. Like there's more people flying around. And the quarterbacks are good. They're not obviously NFL style quarterbacks. They could be, but they're also, some of the best in college that didn't make it, but they were still really good in college. That they're still not playing against college caliber players. I mean, they are and they aren't. So this is very interesting. I was trying to think about the difference in the players, but yeah, I think you're going to see. I think you'd see more turnovers, honestly, the closer to the end zone. If you're throwing the ball, yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you probably have a larger percentage of running the ball if you're at the 2-yard line anyways. But.
I don't see why not. I would all day. I would always run it.
All right. Let's move on. And this is where I keep saying that this is where it gets interesting because all these
the
rules.
Fourth time.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, they're all so different than what we're used to. And this one is no different.
I feel like this one's the most out of the box. If anything's not going to happen in the future of the NFL or whatever, it's this one.
Right. This one, yeah.
Yeah, this is the part where I feel like Vince McMahon wanted to have some fun. Like, he had to be part of it finally. Like, all the other ones, he's like, all right, hey, you guys are smart. You know what you're doing with the NFL or the football, or you know what you're doing with football and talking to fans. And then he's like, guys, can I get one? Just give me one. And they gave him this rule.
All right, let's hear it.
2 forward passes in one play. That's it. That's the line right there. 2 forward passes in the play. I don't know. So this is what I was saying. I don't know how you score this. This is confusing to me on how it would be scored in fantasy. And there is a rule to it. It's not just like I could throw it 13 yards and then just throw it another 13 yards. This isn't Frisbee. But any pass that is caught behind the line of scrimmage, even if it's going forward, that person can throw it again.
Okay.
As long as they're behind the line of scrimmage. So you have some crazy trick plays that can happen. I don't really see how it would. Like, I'm kind of confused by this because even if you throw a lot of plays, like you want to get separation, right? So say you do like a wide receiver screen to a wide receiver throw. That's probably one of the craziest of them all because you're throwing the ball from the quarterback to the wide out, like, 15, 20 yards to the side of the field, and then that wide out is thrown. But he always comes back because A, you have to throw it backwards in the NFL, but B, you want separation. Like, that's why you have the 5-step drop, the 7-step drop. You want separation in the shotgun formation. And this confuses me. So it's one of those things where it's a trick play, but I feel like we're going to see it as often as you see the flea flicker.
Right.
Which is
yeah.
barely ever. I mean, I would think I would love to see some kind of crazy OC that came in and was like, we're going to do a RPO shovel pass, and that shovel pass is going to throw it out to a screen wide receiver or something, just because it happened so fast. That's the only thing I could see of something going like a legit shovel forward into a pass. Other than that, I don't understand how this will happen. So I'm excited to see it, but I don't see it taking off. I don't see a lot of teams using it.
Yeah, I mean, this could be interesting. I mean, like you said, just a quick screen to your running back, even. Say you're in shotgun, you take a couple steps back, you throw a screen to your running back before he gets to the line of scrimmage. He can be running around and throw it again. It'll be weird to see. I don't know how much it'll change. I don't know how much it'll be used. But the first time we see it, it'll be like, what the fuck just happened?
Right? It like I could. Okay, so say you do some kind of like wide receiver or running back or wide receiver like screen or even flat pass to where they reverse fields. Somehow you have the blocking set up to where you throw it one way, yet that person reverses fields. And then throws it back to I don't know. This isn't like I only know Madden plays, and this isn't in Madden, so I don't know how to do this. I just don't understand. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to see it, and we'll see. I feel like this is, if anything, this will be the part where they're like, oh, if the XFL failed, they're like, well, they failed because they had 2 forward passes. Like,
right.
Well, no, they failed because of other things. That's just
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this like you said. I don't see this being used a ton, but when we see it, I think everybody's gonna be scratching their heads.
If it works, it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about the clock changes here. I know that they want to keep the game moving, right? So they're going to keep the clock running pretty much nonstop.
Yeah. So one big thing with these rules that the XFL did is they, believe it or not, they reached out to fans, and they believe in this whole fan-first thing. And I was talking to Dale earlier about this, where I even signed up to be part of the FAN. It's like the Football Advisory Network for the XFL. And I signed up yesterday, and I already got a survey today emailed to me wanting to know. They ask everything about you. They're like, are you a podcaster? Are you media? Are you just a fan? Do you not even care, but you just want to do surveys? Like, they ask everything. And they really go by it, which is how some of these rules came across. And clock changes was one of those rules where they really listened to the fans, and they were so sick of these games running longer and longer and not enough play that they changed it around. Now, instead of like the play clock we're used to, there's a continuous run clock. That's just, it's like soccer, like you said. It's which you probably know nothing of, but soccer constantly runs. If the ball goes out of bounds, it constantly runs, and that's how this is. This is all outside of the final 2 minutes, because the final 2 minutes, just like the NFL, it's a 2-minute warning and you get it. But the cool thing is the play clock is only 25 seconds after the ball spotted. That's huge. It's 15 seconds less than the NFL.
Yeah.
But they do have a little twist to it because they don't want you to line up. So you better be in shape. I'm telling you, I couldn't do it. Like, you better be in shape to do this, because this is like fast-paced backyard football. You have 25 seconds after the ball's spotted. So there's 15 seconds left. But the XFL will allow a one-way radio into every offensive player's helmet. So it's not even like going to the quarterback. Like, the OC's literally calling plays.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's constant. It doesn't stop. It keeps going. Obviously they're going to have some kind of packages. So you're going to see a lot of this is another cool thing with.
So no huddles.
No huddles. I don't think they have time to huddle. So that's why in DFS and in fantasy, it's going to be kind of cool. So if you have your draft, you might, like, the top wide receivers, they might be the best ones, right, that we know of. We know some guys, like, the Terrence Williams out there. We all know these names. But you might not know the name of the player that goes in and has a huge play, because they're going to have to be subbing all the time, like hockey, how you have lines.
I was just going to say that. Line changes.
It's going to be like that. It's going to be crazy. So it's no huddles almost all the time, but it's like a no huddle. They describe it as a no huddle with a huddle, because the OC just talks in their ears.
Right.
And then they do it. So it's cool. And there's only 2 timeouts. And every instant replay will be not only under 60 seconds, but the Sky Judge will rule all reviews. So
that sounds weird.
Yeah, it's so the Sky Judge will. There's always someone that's overlooking every game. Hello, NFL. Maybe you should take note of this. There's always someone watching the game that is the main ruler of the game. And if something comes up, it's to take those. It's to take those little things away. It's to give the Bills a touchdown in the end zone when it should have been. So that I had to put that in there. So it's like it has that different effect to it, and so they really are listening to fans, and that's kind of cool too. This is another reason why I'm excited, because it is trying to not really teach the NFL, but it's giving an NFL. It's like allowing the NFL to do research without really doing anything.
Yeah. This is this line change stuff is going to be amazing, and you're absolutely right. For DFS play, well, for any DFS or season long that we're going to be playing here, it's going to be super cool to see the 5th wide receiver on your team. He's getting snapped. He's getting put in and subbed in.
Yeah, snap count was like 15 less or something, and he's a 5th wideout.
Right.
The other thing, too, is even quarterbacks. So there's looking over we'll go in next week, we'll get into the teams, we'll get into the players, we'll get into more of that. But looking it over, there are some quarterbacks that are going to be like, that RPO spread offense but running quarterbacks. And you have teams that have 2 of them on their team. Now, think of that. I mean, they're not Lamar Jackson, but if it was Lamar Jackson and they are running plays at 25 seconds at a time, and you have another guy behind Lamar Jackson that's very similar because you don't want your offense to change, right? Who's to say you don't switch out lines with quarterbacks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to keep fresh legs in there all the time. I mean, it's
because it's gonna be fast.
It could be fast. I mean, that's what they're planning on. So we're gonna see.
Or are we not gonna see any of that RPO type stuff because it's so fast? You're gonna want more of a in the pocket passer that's not going to need to be changed out as much.
I feel like it depends on the coaching strategies. And again, next week we'll go over coaches. We'll go over that. We'll see because there's some coaches that have air raid. They have some big name coaches in this league, which was that surprised me more than anything. It's just the coaches they attracted or that they brought in. It's gonna. I can only say fun. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, the XFL. I remember in the 2001 when it came out and. They weren't the extreme football league. They always were talked. Vince McMahon always said they were the extreme fun league because that was a time when you get flagged for celebrating the end zone. And this new one it's weird because it's more like a real league than the older one. But to me, it seems like it's going to be more fun.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, it was MTV Rock and Jock. So Rock and Jock.
Love it. I love it.
1990.
Oh, wait, what?
1990 was the first annual.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that was the last. I'm like, dude, I'm not that old.
The last was 1995.
Oh, that's so sad.
Hold on. No, they had a couple. Basketball in 91, football in 97, bowling in 99.
They had a bowling one?
Yeah, that would be cool to watch.
Huh. You better put the gutters up or whatever the stoppers.
Yeah. MC Hammer was one of the first ones on here.
The football one, I think it was Flag, I believe.
Hold on, let's see. This is
it had to be Flag.
No,
You're not going to have a football player just blow up Mark Wahlberg,
right.
so it has to be Flag.
Yeah.
Like Marky Mark can't die on the field. The girls would literally cry. You can't do that.
The first show was the Diamond Derby. So I'm guessing that was the baseball game.
Yes. Oh, dude, I remember they had they had things in the outfield where you're going for a pop fly and you just run into like a cardboard cow. It was really weird, but very fun.
So the basketball one that seemed pretty cool. They have, let's see, Brett Michaels, Frank Thomas was in Barry Bonds.
Brett Michaels,
Peppa from Salt and Peppa.
Yeah, they had man. Barry Bonds was probably.
There was like big John Bon Jovi was in it. Like,
ooh.
like that's like they're big names. Like you couldn't get big names to do it now.
Oh,
well, now I mean you even see like the Celebrity All-Star Game doesn't even have this big of names, and this is some goofy baseball game that MTV was doing.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I remember watching it, and it's sort of like the old school Pro Bowl where they brought it back. But where the Pro Bowl would have like volleyball, like they play volleyball, that was so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I rather watch the NFL players play other random sports.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch J.J. Watt versus Josh Allen in a bocce match than watch the Pro Bowl. Yeah. The Pro Bowl is awful.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad. So we talked about the clock changes. Any other kind of odd things?
Stuff, yeah. A couple small things that I have here is receivers. They only need 1 foot in bounds, not 2. So that's still there. There's more like collegiate football, and there's no coin toss. So it says I don't know if you guys remember, they didn't have a coin toss before, but it's a little different now. It's not the human coin toss that. I remember the very first game because I was excited. I wasn't this excited, but I was like, okay, my interest is you caught my interest, so I want to watch it. And this coin toss is kind of cool. They had a football just laying in the 50, and we had 2 players run from the 35-yard line each, and whoever could get that football first gets the ball. And the very first game they ever had, the person who jumped on the ball separated his shoulder and was out for the whole year.
That's awesome.
Like that's just how the XFL. Like as soon as that happened, turn your TV off. Like you just know this is
awesome.
a disaster. I remember that was the big rule that they were like, oh guys, screw the coin toss. Like this is the thing, and everyone was so excited about the human coin toss. Now they came back with all these other rules that are really exciting that they didn't have. So no more human coin flip. It's just going to be the home team, I believe, I don't have this. I don't know why I don't have this on here, but I want to say the home team kicks the ball. Yeah, I believe they kick the ball. I could be wrong, but it's one or the other. Obviously, it's 50-50 here. So I could be right, I could be wrong, but mostly the time I'm wrong. But yeah, it's very simple. It's not that. And yeah, no human coin flip. Now, I will say the one cool thing that the NFL, we didn't really mention this, but now that the rules are basically over, the one cool thing that the NFL took from the XFL in 2001 was actually the Sky Cam. I don't remember that, but apparently the Sky Cam was the XFL, someone in the XFL thought of it, and they created a Sky Cam, and now the NFL uses it, and that is the biggest thing that they took from it. And I can't really remember the NFL without the Sky Cam. I mean, I can, but it's, I every time I think back, there's always a Sky Cam now. It's been there forever, and it's been there since 2002. So, yeah. So that's kind of cool.
I think also, and I don't know if they're going to do this or not, I'm just totally making it up in my head, but it would be awesome, and I think the XFL is a really good spot for it, is to have more availability to, like, the players and coaches via, different kind of webcam type stuff on the sidelines. I mean, everybody kind of likes some mic'd up stuff. Like, why wouldn't the XFL, like, go and do full-blown, everybody's mic'd up?
You know what? You just reminded me. That is the second thing the NFL got from the XFL. Really? On-field mic'd up players. Yeah, the XFL did that, and the NFL never did before.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I like that kind of stuff, and I think a lot of people would. Even just listening in, maybe, as you're watching the game, you could turn on, the app, and you can, select a player, and you can listen to that player while you're watching the game. I don't know, stuff like that. I think the XFL can do some really cool stuff that the NFL is too afraid to do.
So what you just said is blowing my mind, because of the simple fact that in this survey that I said I had earlier, the very last one was, what is something that asked me a question like, what is something that you think as a fan would be kind of cool during game? And I didn't write that specifically, but I said you should have an app for our computer, or that we could, launch on our TV, to where we can pick our own camera angles, and we could have sort of like the director's box. We could have 4 screens on our one TV or our one screen, and we can pick that, and we could choose the broadcasting or the commentary or the sound. If we don't even want to hear the commentary and the broadcast, we could hear the on-field sound or that mic'd up sound. Now, I feel like you could only do that in an app because you might hear some things you don't want to hear. So that I'm worried about. But at the same time, like, even if you didn't have that, something where you could sort of see everything that's happening at different times.
Yep.
And I think that'd be cool, yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about here, and then we're going to get into a really cool announcement here, KJ, and I know that I'm going to let you kind of take that over. But before we do that, I'm going to just listen teams, the East and the West. The East, Tampa Bay Vipers, DC Defenders, New York Guardians, St. Louis Battlehawks. On the West side, Seattle Dragons, LA Wildcats, Houston Roughnecks, and Dallas Renegades. Now, KJ, and we didn't talk about this is in the prep, but I am going to make you pick your team today.
I knew this was coming. I already picked a team. Knew this was coming. And
okay. And I'm going to pick one. I'll pick one from the opposite conference.
I have to go with. As close. Here, this is hard because I've been kind of thinking about this. I don't know why this is hard. But do I want to pick a team like where I'm from, like back home, or do I want to pick a team that I might be able to see that's around here? So I picked sadly, the closest team I believe to me is the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Oh man, I was gonna pick them. Okay, that's
good.
good.
Okay, so that's surprising.
No, you know what? I was intrigued by them. I don't know if I was going to pick them. You can have the St. Louis Battlehawks.
I don't even know what a Battlehawk is. I tried looking it up, and there's like some toys, and I don't know. They just came up with a name. But I'm going to go with St. Louis Battlehawks. I'm going to go with St. Louis. One of my best friends is a big Rams fan. He was a big St. Louis Rams fan, so I'm just going to keep going with St. Louis. And I don't mind the Blues, so why not? I'm going to go with the Battlehawks.
Okay, all right. ESF friend Wade Green, he has season tickets to the St. Louis Battlehawks.
What? Awesome.
We're going to have him on to talk about that a little bit.
That's exciting.
He was early season ticket purchaser. Still might be the only one. I don't know.
Well, you know what? If he is, he's going to get. I believe the season ticket holders, because it's all about this whole fan thing, is they get to be on field. They get to win passes to go in the locker rooms and meet players. So that kind of interaction is cool. But that is only for season ticket holders and maybe group tickets or something like that. It was something odd. But yeah. So he's got that opportunity to do that. That's cool. So Dale, who are you picking?
All right. I'll tell you who I'm not picking. I'm not picking the Roughnecks or the Renegades because neither one of those are animals. Throw those guys out. I could only pick animals.
Okay.
So I'm between the Dragons, the Seattle Dragons, and the LA Wildcats. And I'll tell you this, and if you guys don't know, or if KJ, if you don't know, I absolutely hate dragons. Just because it's that I don't watch Game of Thrones because they have dragons in it. I know that's a stupid reason not to watch Game of Thrones, but the concept of dragons and the concept that people are really like. Some nerds are really into dragons, and I have no idea why. It's the stupidest make-believe animal. Unicorns are better than dragons.
That's so crazy because I was literally going to be like, what about unicorns? That's the only other thing I could think of. I'm like, well, dragons suck, but you just love unicorns? Apparently.
Look, they're big, they have wings, they fly, and they're huge, and then they breathe fire. It's like there's too many stupid things with dragons. So do I pick dragons because I hate them so much? Or do I go with the Wildcats?
Well, what about the city? What about Seattle or L.A.?
I think I like Seattle better than L.A.
Okay. You hate dragons.
I think I'm going to go with the Seattle Dragons.
You're going to be a dragon lover. I might have to make sure you wear a dragon
shirt. Yeah, let's go Dragons.
Saturday, Sunday. That is the other thing. There's games Saturdays and Sundays.
That's cool.
Not just one day. So
awesome.
So that's kind of cool, yeah.
All right, so we'll go Dragons.
Go Battlehawks. It says hawk, so it must be, but I think it's like a mechanical hawk. It's a Battlehawk. Or it's like a hawk
with like a machine gun attached to it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's the other thing I was thinking. Like there's a hawk that has some kind of wherever it looks, you can see that, and you can just shoot the gun off its wings. I don't know.
Yeah. And Talons has missiles that it drops in its talons.
Oh, dude, badass. I like this team. This team's bad. I'm sorry I took the cool team.
No, it's okay. All right, so for you guys don't know, like KJ said, Saturdays and Sundays are all, playing on all the Saturdays and Sundays. The first game is a weekend after the Super Bowl, and the season is 10 weeks long. That will be on ABC, Fox, ESPN, and FS1. And the playoffs are only 2 weeks long. There are top two teams in each division. There's two teams in each division playing.
Yeah, top two. You're right. Top two teams.
Yeah, and then the winner advances to the, what do they call it, just a championship right now? Is there a special name for it?
I didn't see it anywhere. I did not see a special name for it. I think it's just the championship.
It's going basically from Super Bowl early February all the way down to April 26th. So we're basically getting 3 months of football. Oh, I just said 10 games, right?
Yeah, that's for 2.5 months, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
No, 3 months with playoffs. Yes, 3 months of football. Sure. The championship's April 26th. When is the draft?
Good point. I don't know.
Isn't it in April? Am I wrong? Is it May?
The NFL draft. Yeah, it's in April.
It's in April. You know what? I wonder if there is a bye week. This would be very smart of them. If there is a bye week, like in between the playoff round 1 and the championship, and that is where the draft is.
The championship is 3 days after the draft. Draft is, they NFL draft is April 23rd through the 25th.
Oh, that's
So
I guess that's smart. People are
26 is the
hyped up.
championship.
So
Well, the thing is, and what the XFL said is they are not going to give the players the ability to go to an NFL team in season, and so maybe this is strategic.
Yeah.
Somehow, making sure that they're not part of the NFL before the end of the season. I guess I don't know.
yeah, no,
There's some strategery going there. I'm not sure. But I'm sure they thought about it, and it's specifically on April 26th, the day after the last day of draft, for a reason.
That's interesting.
All right, KJ, what we are going to do for the listeners, I know you're kind of heading this up, and I'm going to try to take all the credit for it. We are going to have a listener league for this XFL. Since there are only 8 teams, so we have potential 8 quarterbacks and stuff like that, 8 starting running backs. We're going to do only 8 teams for this league. I put this out on our private group on Facebook. If you guys aren't familiar with our private group, make sure you check out the Eat Nation private group on Facebook. It's a pretty cool little community that we've built over the last couple of years with a really good group of girls and guys in there. So anyways, I put the post up. We had a lot of interest. And what we're going to do, since myself and KJ are already in this league, we need 6 more. KJ, this is what I'm thinking, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Since we only need 6 more, KJ is going to pick the 6 out of a hat. But I'm going to put a little twist on this. KJ, why don't you pick 5 people to be in the league, okay? Mm-hmm. That 6th person, let's just do it podcast specific. And I'll say the first person to email me gets that spot.
Okay.
I will give you the email address in a second.
Okay, so unfortunately I don't have them in a hat right now. I lied.
No.
What I'm gonna do? I'm switching it back to you. You're
KJ.
picking them, my friend.
Okay, I'll pick them.
So you're picking them, but I have them them randomly numbered from
I got you.
1
Okay.
to 10. So you give me 5 numbers from 1 to 10.
I like it. Okay.
And then
So there's 10 people that are interested.
There are
in
10
our
people
Facebook
in
group.
interest. So 12 total because of us. So 10 people, 6 spots, 10 people.
Okay, gotcha.
Numbered
All
1
right.
through 10.
Okay. My first number. So right now, me and you are the first 2, right?
Correct.
All right. So I'm just going to write this note down because we will forget Dale and KJ. All right. So
we'll
the
forget
first-
ourselves.
So the first number I'm going to pick is number 2. Who's number 2?
Number 2 is Matthew Tackett.
Matthew, congratulations. You are in the first ever XFL Listener League for ESF.
And I just realized now that I'm saying these names, I apologize if I butcher any name.
Oh, no. It's fine. Because too many people butchered your name. It's time to get everybody
Right,
back.
I'm going to be the substitute teacher here.
All right. The second number I'm going to pick is number 9.
Mark Everett. Come on down.
Excuse me. The third number I'm going to pick is number 1.
Okay, this is Jeremy Minu.
Oh, yeah, Jeremy. He's a good guy. He does a lot of barbecue.
That's amazing. Does he live near me?
No, I think he lives in Texas somewhere.
Well,
Yeah, no.
bad.
I tried to get him to send me like a brisket or something. He never did.
Brisket's the best.
It is. All right. The fourth number I'm going to say is number... Let's go right in the middle. Number 5.
Patrick Salyers?
Oh, yeah. Salyers, yeah. I call him Outback Pat because he sent me a Outback gift card one time.
Outback Pat, you're in.
All right.
Last
so
one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. No, that's 6.
No,
okay, yeah,
one,
so one more.
we're only doing 5. Remember the email.
Right. 5, and then. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the last one right here.
Yeah. Number 9.
You can't pick 9 twice.
Oh, number 10.
Okay, number 10 is Randy Mo Valderrama.
Randy Mo Valderrama. He's been around for a long time. It's really weird, and I don't know if you guys are going to believe me, Valderrama. Because, through the years, I see all the emails coming in, and I see, when people subscribe to our website, eatsleepfantasy.com, by the way, it is a website. When people subscribe, when they, if they do anything with ESF, basically it all comes to me. So over the years, I'm seeing a million names, and for some reason, I can every name that I see, I can basically tell you if they're in the Eat Nation private group. There's 250 people in the private group. It's so weird how I can just pick names, and I know little things about everybody. It's really strange.
That's creepy, but
yeah, it is. Birthdays,
you're like the Sean McVay of the
birthdays. I mean, KJ. I know where you live. I've seen pictures of your house.
Oh, come on, we hung out the other day.
So all right. So guys, we have Matthew Tackett, Mark Everett, Jeremy Manu, Outback Pat, and Randy Mo Valderrama. You guys are in the XFL league. I'll make sure. I'll make sure to be in touch with you guys soon. Get email addresses and get this going. The next person, the very first person who emails me, contact@eatsleepfantasy.com with a subject line. The subject line should be Dale and KJ.
Okay.
These ideas just come off the top of my head, KJ.
Yes,
believe it or not. I mean, I know you think that.
I know you're going to do XFL fantasy.
Oh, that would have been better. That would have been better.
No, I like just Dale and KJ.
So if you email contact@eatsleepfantasy.com, in the subject line put Dale and KJ, you will, the first person, I will respond. To everybody else, I will probably not respond, because I'm not going to respond to a million people saying, you didn't get in. So if you heard back from me, you'll know that you got in. If you didn't hear back from me, I'm sorry. Maybe we could set something else up. Maybe you go in the Eat Nation private group and see if anybody else wants to set up set something up, and you guys can join, do another one.
Yeah, I'm sure. I believe someone already started setting one up or talking about it on the group. So there's definitely going to be some leagues out there. And this league, I already said, so whether I will buy one, but the championship or the champion of the league is going to actually get a WWE style championship belt engraved from ESF, first ever world champion fantasy football XFL. So
that'd be awesome.
It's going to be pretty cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. We were pending a sponsor. Also, I try to get as many things for free as possible. Like Patrick sent me some gift cards for Bloomin' Onion, and I'm going to try to, get a free belt from somebody. So we'll keep you updated on that. But we're going to get it worked out, and it'll be fun. And I have T-shirts to give out too, and all that stuff. So it'll be fun. All right, KJ, that was a awesome episode. The next episodes are going to be talking about what players and the teams and who's available. We're going to talk about a little bit of past Canadian Football League people, and maybe what we can expect in going into all this, and maybe the stars that could rise. We're going to get everything in XFL that you guys need to know. We're going to get into, and by the time it's ready to put some money down and play with your friends, you should have enough information from us to lead your league.
Yeah, it's going to be it's cool. You know what really brought me to wanting to watch this XFL is we talked about Dynasty Fantasy Football, and when I looked back and made this list of players that were either in the CFL, USFL, or the NFL Europe, or even Arena Football that started or even went to the NFL and then to these leagues and then came back, it was mind-boggling on some of these names. I did not know some of these people did this, and it just makes me want to watch the XFL that much more to see if this is a thing and if it can be. They're also paying their players. We didn't get into this. who knows? College might change. The college is going to start having to pay their players because why not go to the XFL and get money while you're waiting? And I mean, get healthcare. It's full 100% healthcare to every single player. That's huge. So yeah, in the next couple of weeks, we'll break that down. We'll go over players. We'll go over different strategies. We'll go over some fantasy football. And I mean, there's only 8 starting quarterbacks. There's 8 teams. I don't know. Are you in? I got an argument about this earlier with someone. If you're in the 8th spot in a draft, do you take back-to-back quarterbacks if someone didn't take a quarterback and screw them?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's gonna be different. It's a different strategy.
And well, I mean, okay, just going really quick. There's a lot to think about here. I mean, with the fast pace, you got to really think about that and say, okay, what's the most devalued position? Let's just end the episode on this. Just the top of your head, think about the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers. Out of those skill positions, who do you think is the most devalued because of the fast pace?
Because of the fast pace and the coaches that I know that are running these offenses, I would. It's hard. It's between wide receiver and running back. I want to say running back, but if this is that fast for wide receivers to constantly be running those routes, they're gonna need breaks. And the only way to stop that is full point PPR, but that still might not be enough. I mean, if you have a spread offense that some of these coaches ran in college, it could go to any wide receiver. So I honestly think the wide receiver is the most devalued position personally.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. I mean, the conditioning is going to be the biggest problem with that. I mean, if you're running, you're probably running 30 or 40 yards across field, right? Yeah. And then you got to run back to the line of scrimmage in 25 seconds after the play is over and get lined up and do it all over again. That's a big difference. You're going to see a lot of substitutions, I think, with the wide receivers. But we'll get into more of that next episode too. Guys, this was a lot of fun. We hope we kind of gave you a quick intro, maybe stuff you didn't know, or maybe just another viewpoint of stuff you already did know. So we appreciate you guys listening and downloading as always. Go to our website, eatsleepfantasy.com, to get in contact with us if you want. Not a lot of redraft stuff right now, but we're going to be building that through all off season. We have a lot of good things coming with the NFL fantasy as well. KJ, awesome first debut podcast. I appreciate it. We're going to do a lot more. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited for this year.
You did not sound very excited for to come back. I don't think you were expecting.
I was just looking at something on my computer and going over some things and notes. Okay. But yeah, hey, I'm excited to be here.
No offense taken. All right, guys. Again, we appreciate you. Oh, by the way, download or listen to Eminem's new album, Music to Be Murdered By. Top three, I think, for me.
Really? Wow.
Top 3 album from Eminem, I think.
He's good. He's good.
Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP, and the Music to Be Murdered By, I think, are my top 3 albums of all time. So listen for yourself. Let me know what you think. All right, guys. We will talk to you later.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy. You rocking with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs. Better follow the conversation with John, Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation. We doing what we like. Tune in every week. Guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy football enthusiasts. I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Woo! Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.